Hello, welcome to the Film Obsessed Couple. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Scott.
And I tell you what, if you're looking for a great gift for somebody that you really care about, check out my Etsy store. I have, if you're thinking of Father's Day gift, I have a BBH holder, which I like to call Big Beautiful Hats, because you always need something to hold it. I tell you, I don't even wear the hats, and after I made this, I just love it so much. But check out my Etsy store. Links in the show notes. I would very much appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for checking that out.
Today, we're going to talk about the Army of Darkness.
Yes. I think in the previews it said Ash versus the Army of Darkness. Like the beginning, but everyone calls it Evil Dead or Army of Darkness.
Okay.
Or Evil Dead 3, depending on how you're feeling.
It's got so many names.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be called The Medieval Dead, but the studio was like, we don't like that at all.
I don't really care for that either.
It's a funny play on words, I think.
Oh.
I didn't think how different this would be, but I do feel like I'm kind of flying blind here. My cat ate my headphones that I plug into. I do have nicer headphones than the one that I use, but we just found out that the plug-in isn't very big to fit any of the plugins I've got. So Shelly's got her headphones in. She probably hear everything really nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not as nice as before.
I know. I can't even imagine. That's always like, you want me not to wear mine and we could just be off together?
No, it's just like we're having a conversation.
That's weird. We never do that.
I know. I don't understand how we'll make it. Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness. You know, we're gonna go see the newest one, time permitting.
Eventually.
Yeah. Even if it happens to be rental.
School is almost done for me. This is my last week and doing finals, and then I'm done, baby.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so happy for you.
Man.
It's been, 3 years?
Yeah.
2-3 years?
Yeah, just to get a certificate. It's insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're working full time too, so gosh.
I know.
I can't even imagine if I wanted to get a full 4-year degree, how long that would take working full time.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
This one picks up right as the other one left off. I mean, Evil Dead 2, just like the first one, was a huge success. There's a lot of people that'll tell you that it's even better than the first one. It really kicked up that action, the horror, still had some comedy in there. This one is pretty much a full-on comedy.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I was laughing so much, and there's so many corny lines.
Yeah.
And a lot more Three Stooges type stuff.
Yeah. No, exactly. And, you know, if you watch Ash vs. Evil Dead, I kind of talked about it on the last one. I was like, yeah, in Ash vs. Evil Dead, he's kind of like a arrogant piece of shit. And that's where this really comes into play here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just because, you know, as of the last movie, he got thrown back into time. And I think the reason he is the way he is now is he's just like, this is bullshit, and I'm done with all of it.
Yeah. He's like, I'm a ladies' man. I'm back in time. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, that doesn't really carry over because, I mean, he had a girlfriend, but he doesn't really come off as a ladies' man. And this one, he's just like ready to go for the first woman he sees.
Yeah, true. True.
We do get another flashback, and I realized that they reshot some of the scenes from the first movie again. Because you get Ash working at S-Mart, which I don't think you ever get. I think you hear that he works at S-Mart is all. But I think they wanted to show you what S-Mart looks like in this one just so you could tell where he is at the end. Because you get Bruce Campbell, a 1993, I think, 93 Bruce Campbell, you know, in S-Mart being like, oh, yeah, that's housewares or whatever. And you're like, he's supposed to be like the teenager Ash. Well, continuity-wise, this is all supposed to take place, like, kind of in the same night. Like, he goes to the cabin one night, gets sucked back in time, maybe stays for a while in the Dark Ages. Mm-hmm. Right off the bat, we get another shot of the car, Sam Raimi's famous car. Mm-hmm. Just must have been absolutely destroyed because, like in the ending of the second one, they drop it from like 300 feet in the air, it looks like.
Yeah, and it does fall a little different. Like, I was trying to remember maybe which shots they redid and all of that, but I think that one was a little different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they had to reshoot all that, too. Because it didn't really look that good to me at the end of the second one. It looked like a lot of Well, it didn't look like they had a lot of budget to do that.
It was like a model that they
Yeah.
dropped. And this one actually looked like a real ass car.
Right. So we start out. Bruce Campbell he's been captured, and these knights think that he is one of Henry's men.
Yeah, well, the wise ones are like, I think he's here to save the day. And the
Yeah.
other ones are like, nope, he's bad.
He's wearing jeans and a t-shirt. He doesn't look like us. And I put it in my notes here, but we see Bruce Campbell, his shirt is ripped, and I was like, hello.
Right?
Yeah,
Showing some chesticles.
Looking good. I think Bruce Campbell seems like a really cool dude. He from this persona has like a very sarcastic wit. Like, he seems like this is how he is in real life.
Mm-hmm.
See people like interviewing him and stuff, and he's very sarcastic.
Yeah, I was even like, because they made him a prisoner and they put him, oh gosh, I don't know what it's called, where you have the piece of wood around your neck and your hands are up.
Like the
kinda-
stocks.
Yeah, I guess. And I'm like, how do they keep his hand in there? Because he doesn't have one.
Yeah, you just slip it out.
And you're just like, don't question that.
Well, it'd be funny if they just left it out of the stock, because it's like, how is he going to use that to get out?
I know.
Just a stump. And we get brought to the castle, the Arthur's castle that we hear, because run by, I don't know if it's supposed to be the Arthur of legend.
Yeah.
Do they say that?
No.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just think it should be.
It should be? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like Ash was supposed to be like part of that legend. He's just been there the whole time.
Yeah.
And so they think that he is part of Henry the Red, and Henry the Red is captured there with him too. And it's so funny. Like, the one-liners in this movie are so funny because Henry the Red's like, oh, yes, I am Henry the Red, keeper of the blah, blah, blah. He gives this really long title, and Ash is like, well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. Because he says he's like leader of the Legion of the West or something like that. And he's like, well, right now you're leading two things, Jack and shit, and Jack just left town.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah, he's over it. He's like, the way I view it here is like he is the main character of this movie and he doesn't want to be.
Right. And people of that town are assholes.
Yeah, they're ready to throw these people in this pit that they've got.
Even the little kids are like throwing rocks and shit at them.
Which I did read in the trivia just a moment ago that fake rocks were used, although Sam Raimi did throw potatoes colored as rocks at
Ooh.
him.
That would hurt.
Again, Sam Raimi loves to torture Bruce Campbell for some
I
reason.
guess so. I love you, buddy. I'm going to throw potatoes at you.
Yeah, they look like rocks. It looks really good. You just act like it's rocks.
I mean, if they were cooked, maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. They've got all these men captured, and they end up kicking one of the guys into this pit.
Yeah.
It's very kind of creepy or very well done because it just goes completely silent while everyone's waiting.
And they keep kind of like leaning towards the pit, like,
Yeah.
oh, when is it going to happen? Something's going to happen.
Of course, just like Sam Raimi, this blood fountain just sprays like 50 feet in the air.
And it just makes you crack up. Like,
Yeah.
it is just so over the top.
You're like, how did that happen?
They're like, this is crazy.
There is an old woman here. I wrote her line down where she said, into the pit with those bloodthirsty sons of whores. Ash is trying to like talk his way out of it, but I think it's the same lady, throws a rock and hits him in the head.
Yeah, I believe so. You always have to have some weird old lady. It's like in Princess Bride.
Yes, yeah.
There was that.
Boo!
Yeah.
That lady, the boo!
You always have to have a crazy ass old lady.
So Ash does eventually get pushed into this pit, and it's just kind of like a little cave, it seems like. Like water, a little bit of water in there, and it seems just kind of an old abandoned cave. As he's looking around, we do see like an old gross hand reach out of the water.
Mm.
And as Ash turns around, it goes back into the water perfectly.
Yeah, there's a little bit like, what are we going to see?
Yeah.
Like, we're not sure what's going to happen.
And as he's walking around, this demon Deadite just comes out of the water, starts kicking his ass.
Yeah, and it looks like a woman. Like,
Yeah.
I was expecting some gross monster or something like that. This was just like a possessed woman, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a Deadite, and but maybe she hasn't been possessed very long because there's another one in here that looks like just completely fucked up. But
Yeah.
this is where we really get the humor for a minute here because she does a little wind up. She was like, and hits him in the face.
And then does somersaults.
Yeah, she's like, and like kicks him in the stomach, and he's like, whoo!
It's just, it's insane.
So talking about the wise man, he's just this old kind of like priest or whatever guy holding Ash's chainsaw, and he calls him Strange One. He's like, Strange One! And he throws Ash's chainsaw down to him, and there's this very cool moment where Ash jumps up, and it like shows his arm connect into the chainsaw. Like,
Yeah.
action.
So perfect.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how he starts it. If they, I can't remember if they show him actually started. But again, this thing is just revving. I'm like, how is he revving that up? I want to see the logistics of it.
It's his brain.
Yeah, like as you posited on the last one. Yeah, it's connecting to his brain.
No, I think you did.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
So he kills this demon.
I think a little bit, but we also have spikes closing in.
After he kills this one, Arthur is not too happy, so he says spikes.
Mm-hmm.
And they start rolling, and these spikes on either side start closing in like they're going to kill Ash.
The guy's like, I want to see more blood.
Yeah.
Close those spikes.
So as Ash is trying to escape, he runs over to the chain that's like, pulling these things closer. Another dead-eyed demon comes out, and this one is the one that looks like completely fucked up.
I called him a bloater.
Yes. Yeah, if we're going to be talking about Last of Us.
Yeah.
Apparently the nickname on the set for this thing was the Pit Bitch.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Ash puts his belt around the chain to like, you think he would just hold on to it maybe, but he wraps his belt around the chain so he could like carry himself up out of the pit. And the thing's grabbing onto his leg. He eventually kicks it, and that thing gets crushed in the pit.
Yeah, just the last minute his legs are out of there.
Yeah.
I don't know what he would do if he lost a foot. What would he attach to that?
I don't know. I did read in the trivia that Ash was supposed to lose an eye in this one too.
Oh, shit.
But I don't know what happened there.
What would he attach to his foot? Like maybe a hammer? And he'd do like some leg kicks and
Yeah,
crush
maybe
people?
so. I did find in my notes when he does the first demon in the pit, when he cuts its hand off, that hand flies up onto the old lady's face.
Oh, that's right.
Like, Ash gets out. He escapes. The demon is killed, and he walks up to Arthur and he says, "Your shoelace is untied." And I'm like, they don't have shoelaces back then.
I'm like, there's no way he's going to look down because he doesn't know what that is.
It's like, what's a shoelace? Yeah, but Arthur does look down, and Ash punches him in the face.
He pauses like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, I guess I look down?
Yeah, and there's this dude next to him. I don't know if you saw him very well, but he's got a mustache, but it's like two long, thin pieces of hair just coming out of either side. And it's super long. It looks not the greatest.
Like the, you're going to have to help me again. The, Japanese kind of elderly guys that always have the long
Oh, like
beards.
Fu Manchu?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of looks like that for sure. Like the beard thing.
No offense. It's just that's what it reminds me of.
Well, I think Fu Manchu was a character, right? I think so. And he had that beard. So it's not like we're referring to an Asian man as a Fu Manchu, just that style of hair, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's how it was. If you just hear a large beep, I've edited all that out. What's that style of hair? Beep. And that's what that's called.
I'm so glad you get me.
It's called a beep. Oh, that's right. I love the beep. Wait, is the beep bad?
We're just going to have to beep.
Ash does let Henry the Red go. And Henry the Red's really funny here. He just laughs the whole time he's running away. And he gets on his horse and rides out of the castle. He's just laughing the whole time. Like,
He probably thought he was going to die.
I
Like,
guess.
Thank goodness I'm out of here.
Arthur's pretty pissed off, and he does a really funny move where he gets his sword, and some dude's like kneeling with it for him to take it out of the scabbard. And he kicks this dude away as he pulls his sword out. I'm like, what an asshole.
I do have to point out, I don't know his name, the main knight that captured Ash, the guy that was pulling the
the
sword out. He's got baby bangs. Like his hair, his bangs are like way up here.
I think I think that is Arthur. Because he does have those bangs. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It was just like the worst hair.
It's not good. Yeah, he's got like long flowing hair, and then he's got like, it's like a girl these days, you know? Don't they do that hairstyle? Wasn't that big?
Some of them are baby bangs. Yeah, they're baby bangs because they're short. Like longer bangs come down to your eyebrows.
Gotcha. Okay.
But baby bangs are like halfway between your eyebrows and your forehead.
Boy, you would think that guy wouldn't be very happy because he's like, shooting this movie for 2 months. I've got to have this terrible fucking haircut.
Yeah, because it looks real. It doesn't look like a wig.
You know Dennis from It's Always Sunny? He's like the crazy one, not Mac. He's in a movie playing, I think, the founder of BlackBerry, and that's what he did to look like the guy.
Oh.
And I sometimes watch the It's Always Sunny podcast, and he just had this haircut for a minute. And I'm like, why? And he was like, eventually I did put it together that he was doing a movie. But if anybody has seen the picture, Glenn Howerton is his name. He's got like the Homer Simpson donut.
Yeah.
Like the half donut, and the top of his head is shaved.
Okay.
But can you imagine like having that haircut walking around? And I think he said something of like he didn't really care. He was like, no, I don't really care what people think. So he would walk around and stuff and go get food. And
Good. I mean, and some guys have that, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be bald.
I don't know why they get such a bad rap.
My dad, he balded, but you couldn't really tell because he always did a comb over, which, yeah, it didn't look great, but I think he thought it looked better than having no hair.
Yeah.
But I've never seen my dad without a comb over. I don't see him very much, so maybe he doesn't have it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But
well, speaking of that hairstyle, my dad has that.
yeah, he shaves his. Well, the donut, yeah. He doesn't do a comb over.
I don't know. I've always asked him, I'm like, yeah, no, he's completely bald on top.
Yeah.
But I've asked him, I'm like, oh, have you ever thought of like shaving it completely? And he's like, I've thought about it. And I think he said my mom doesn't want it or wouldn't like it or something, which whenever he gets a haircut and gets it cut really short, I think it looks good.
I do too.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
you should just go the whole way.
Yeah.
But like his mustache, I've never seen him without it. I remember being a kid when he used to only have a mustache and now he's got like a beard. But I was always like, you ever thought of shaving that off? I've never seen you with it. And he's like, no.
You look totally different because you shaved your face one time.
Yeah.
And you look totally different.
It's weird.
It's not bad, but it's just like, you're another person.
And I've got no lips.
And I'm like, hey, baby.
My husband's away. But I have no lips. So when I don't have any like facial hair, you can really tell it's just a straight line. Like look really strange. But yes, baby bangs, man. Arthur himself gets his sword and Ash finally has his shotgun and shoots it. And this is where this is like probably one of the most famous scenes in the movie. Like everyone knows it. I even played you a Coheed and Cambria song that sampled this scene right at the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
But he does the whole like, this is my boomstick.
It's great.
Yeah, he calls them primitive screwheads. All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Even like I haven't watched any of the Evil Dead, as I've said at the beginning. That's kind of why we're watching these to gear up for the movie that's out. But I've even heard of Boomstick.
Yeah.
And I've never watched any of these movies.
Which will be interesting. I don't know if this originated that. I didn't see any trivia on if some other movie has said it before, but I mean, this is probably what it's most well known for.
Probably. Yeah, I didn't know what it was referencing, but I knew what a boomstick was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he gives a whole speech about like retails for $109.95. And then he does the shop smart, shop S smart.
You know, some men refer to their anatomy as their boomstick.
Oof. I don't think I want to meet those people.
Because sometimes it shoots.
Right.
Okay.
After he gives his whole spiel about the boomstick, that demon that you thought got killed climbs out of the pit and Ash shoots it. And because of this, then the next scene, Ash is getting treated like a god. He's getting fed like, the ancient Greeks you'd always see.
Great.
He's sitting in he's sitting in a chair and they're feeding him like grapes on the vine and stuff.
And a big like leg of meat.
Yeah, like a giant like a turkey leg maybe. I don't know. So we meet the main lady of this movie. Her name is Sheila, which is very surprising that I know her name. She's an actress. Her name is Embeth Davis. Mm-hmm. The same year this movie came out, she was also one of the characters in Schindler's List.
Oh.
Which is, I can't imagine another diametrically opposite movie to this.
Yeah, that's crazy. What didn't we do another one where the lady was in a different kind of movie? The Anthony Hopkins movie.
Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, there was a lady in there.
Oh, Red Dragon?
Yeah. I can't remember. Let's just move on.
Oh, she was in Beep. Yeah. It's early in the morning. Maybe we should do these later in the day because I'm still just like, what? What? Who?
I'm like, come on, honey. You got to fill in my blanks.
Fun fact, she said trying to act with all the makeup that she has on later, because surprise, surprise, she gets turned into a deadite. She said was so uncomfortable it made her almost quit acting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's much.
Yeah, that's a little much. She's like, it wasn't until I filmed my Holocaust movie about the death of 6 million Jews that I was like, this is for me.
This is my acting career, yes.
No, that's just I guess she just said she didn't. She hated it. It was not comfortable. She didn't like it.
I mean, I could kind of understand that. I want to understand that, but then part of me is kind of like, okay, baby, get over it.
Yeah. Well,
no offense.
No, and I don't know how they cast it, but Chris Hardwick, who does the Nerdist, well, he did the Nerdist podcast, but he was in House of a Thousand Corpses, Rob Zombie's movie, and they had to make like a cast of his face because he ends up getting murdered, so they put like special effects and stuff on him. He said when he sat down, because what they do is they like pour stuff over your face and let it set, and the guy was like, some people freak out over this. He's like, because you're in the dark, you can't hear anything. And I guess they said they got it over like one half of his side, and as soon as it covered up one ear, he like freaked out and tore it off. So I was always been like, oh, I wonder how I would do.
Yeah, I could see that because that's fucking with your senses.
Yeah.
But just having to be patient and get some makeup on, watch a movie.
And I don't know how uncomfortable it would be, but I should have looked and seen if K&B, the guys who did Evil Dead 2, were brought back, because those guys are the best.
Now, what was the Wizard of Oz lady that basically wore stuff that like burned her skin or something?
The witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgive me of her name, but yeah, you're talking about the Wicked Witch, yeah.
Now I can understand that if you're like, nah.
Yeah. You would think they yeah, K&B, quick interjection, K&B did not do all of the special effects on this, so.
Okay.
But you would think after The Wizard of Oz, the original Tin Man had to quit because he had like a reaction to the makeup that they had.
Yeah.
And I think he was like inhaling like metal dust or whatever they used on him.
Like something bad, and they were just like, too bad, we're not changing it.
Something like that, or he had to drop out because of it. Please, kids, do your own research on that one. And so you would think the woman playing the witch would be like, so what happened to that guy? Can I trust you putting this stuff on me?
That's a whole fucked up. I don't know a whole lot of it, but I think I listened to a podcast that talked about it. I don't know how I have knowledge of it, but I do.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is not the Bible, so
yeah.
Do your own research.
Things that I heard one time, or I'm possibly making up. We don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know. But let's just go with it.
Yeah. So.
Or we'll beep.
Again, we will just edit this whole thing. That's what we'll do.
I love it.
So I was talking about this thing, and I heard what he did. He did.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, you talked about like sex and stuff like that. You know what I like is I like to have a finger in. Back to the Evil Dead movie is that the wise man has told Ash that the way to get him back is through the Necronomicon. Surprise, surprise, there's this lady in the room that they were looking at. She's just kind of like down on the floor, like I don't know, she's mopping or whatever, but she turns out to be a Deadite.
An old lady again.
As an evil Deadite. Ash gets into a fight with her, and he does this finishing move where she's coming back at him, and he puts the shotgun behind his head and shoots her. And she flies back, but as he shoots her, he does like this "I'm just coming" move where he's like, hoo, 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 hoo. Like he's like getting power from killing this woman.
Before they started going, he was like, yo, she bitch, let's go. I'm like, oh, like every corny line I've tried to type. So,
oh, absolutely.
I'm going to be saying them all. I know you're going to love it. There's another line where it says, were you raised in a barn? Shut the door. But I don't remember when that happened.
It's coming up right here because now
okay.
we get the quick cut scene of them building his new hand.
Oh, yeah.
He gets with the blacksmith of this castle. And yeah, that's why I was like, I love this shot because it's just so fast. Mm-hmm. It's like they open a door and you see like an old armor set, and Ash is like, that hand will do. And it's like, pick it up, cut. It's just them making it, and it's so cool. And yeah, he's like working on his hand in the barn or whatever, or in the castle. And Sheila comes in and he's like, well, were you raised in a barn?
That's right.
She's probably like, well, it is the medieval times, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think we all were.
She's trying to be nice and cool to him, you know? She's trying to talk to him, and he's just a huge asshole. And he says something to her, she does something, and he takes it away, and he's like, your primitive mind wouldn't understand complex molecular structures and stuff.
That's my and shit.
And shit.
Molecular... and shit.
So she runs out of the room, and Ash goes and grabs her, and apparently this was Sam Raimi, the director's idea. He says, say, give me some sugar, baby.
Yeah.
And Bruce Campbell apparently was like, that is so dumb. He's like, that just sounds so stupid and corny. But that's Ash.
That's
stupid and
movie.
corny.
That's it.
So the next morning they ride out, and the wise man is like, okay, you're on your own from here. When you pick the book up from the cradle it's in, you'll have to say these words. It says, Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Exactly.
Exact words. And and Ash is like, yeah, I got it. Sure, whatever. Which, there's an old movie, I think it was in the 50s or 60s, The Day the Earth Stood Still. And they say, the invaders or whatever says, Klaatu Barada Nikto. But they were like, oh, this is a little different. This is Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Oh.
But it's kind of a play on that. So they were kind of referencing that Day the Earth Stood Still. That movie was remade with Keanu Reeves in the 2000s, and it's not great.
If we ever have to find this book, I need you with me, because there's no fucking way I'd remember any of this.
Just the 3 words?
Yeah, I'd have to like write it down or study it or something.
Yeah, you think he'd be like, please write this down for me.
Yeah, they probably don't even... Well, they could get a quill and do that.
Yeah, they had quills and stuff back then.
Yeah.
So Ash rides off, full of himself that he knows it. He's like, sure, I understand all of it, got it. And we get some more demon cam here, because Ash is he's driving.
He's driving his horse.
He's riding his horse through the woods, and the demon the evil force or whatever starts chasing him.
Yeah.
And it's chasing him through some like split trees and stuff. I was like, wow, I wonder how they did that.
Yeah, like as it was going, it was like it was splitting the trees.
Yeah, like in two.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
I was kind of like, wow, special effects budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so this thing chases Ash into an old abandoned windmill.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a really cool scene too, because he's locked the door and he's like barricading it with himself, and the thing is like pounding on the door trying to get in, and he's just like screaming. It's like,
yeah. And let me tell you, this windmill is built so much better than that cabin in the woods. It's got like 2-ply doors.
Well, you said Cabin in the Woods, and I'm like, have we watched that movie for this?
You know what I mean?
It was
a cabin in the woods.
I'm sorry, people. It is early where we're at here. Now, look, it's 11 o'clock. It's so early.
It's so fucking early.
You're right. Yeah, I think they had more of a budget for this, because, yeah, in the other ones, they had to pretend that they couldn't accidentally walk through those doors in the second one.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm going to put my hand up to it. Oh, my God, my hand went through it.
But, you know, being They probably used like real wood.
Yeah.
Of course. Like they don't use real wood now. I just realized how I sounded.
No, I totally know what you mean.
Moving on.
One thing I did skip over is that as Ash is riding on his horse, he gets knocked off and falls into a huge mud puddle.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, of course.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi's like, you gotta do it.
You got to put your face right up in there.
Ash is staying in this windmill for the night. Shows him making some like hot water, boiling water, some tea or whatever he's making for it.
He's got to relax. He's got to chill, make some tea.
Yeah, I think he freaks out seeing himself in this mirror and he like breaks it.
How is there a mirror?
You said that. Now I want to look it up because I meant to. Because you were like, did they have mirrors back then?
It was the 1300s.
I hate to tell you this, but mirrors approximately dating back about 8,000 years ago.
Okay.
And before mirrors, they would use like metal that reflected.
Okay.
That is a good
That's
question.
how there are mirrors. We know the answer.
That's a good question because you don't question some of that stuff, you know? You're like, oh, he's in like the 1300s. You're not like, oh, when did mirrors get invented? Well, surprisingly well before then.
Okay. We're good then.
All right. Everybody calm down and throw your pitchforks away.
Good job, Sam Raimi.
Yeah, they had to, back in those days, they had to actually look it up in a book.
Oh, God. Like the encyclopedia? That was some shit.
Or you just don't look at it and just do what you want for the movie.
Yeah, and you just hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, he breaks this mirror and, he kind of walks away. And there is a very cool effect where, like, he is reflected in all these mirrors, like, looking back at him.
Mm-hmm.
And all these tiny little versions of himself get out and start wreaking havoc.
They're so cute. And they even have the little tiny voices.
Little voices. And I wrote in my notes here that Bruce Campbell must have had, like, a field day with this. They're like, just go crazy.
Because he can't see him, probably. Right?
Yeah. Well, no, he probably can't see himself when he's the big version of himself, but as he's acting as the little versions, they were just like, go crazy. And like,
Oh.
and they stab him in the ass with a fork.
Yes.
And we just get some more comedy. He's like, oh! And he throws the fork and it's like as a trident basically and stabs and kills one of the tiny versions of himself.
Like, that was rude.
Well, they're evil as we see what they do to him in a minute.
I know, but they're cute.
Yeah, they try to shoot him with the gun at one point. The gun, he like gets out of the way.
Yeah.
And he falls and his face gets stuck on this stove.
Yeah.
And he's there for a few moments.
A while.
And he has to get like a little
scooper. It's what you scoop ash out of your
fireplace. Gotcha.
I don't know what it's called.
I thought it was like one of those, like a flipper for food.
No. Mm-mm.
Again, words escape me today, people. I'm so sorry. After this, I'm not going to talk the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yes, but he scrapes.
Sorry.
He has to scrape his face off.
Yeah.
Face off.
Face.
Sorry, that's
Yeah, no.
Nick Cage.
I was there.
He has to scrape his face off.
Love it.
As he does, he has no fire or heat damage to his face.
Yeah, nothing. It's
He's fine.
Perfect. He also gets a nail in the foot.
Yeah, he steps on a nail because he's doing the whole like he's chasing these tiny versions and he's like London Bridge is falling down and he steps on a nail. It's like
Hopefully he has his tetanus shot.
oh gosh, I don't know. Back in those days, yeah, and the little versions of himself finish it. They're like my fair lady. And this is where we get a little bit of Gulliver's Travels because he knocks himself out after the nail and he wakes up and he's like tied to the floor.
Yes.
And
really bad CGI going on next.
yeah, I know. I mean, they just did what they could, but
it's still funny.
yeah, it still works. Like the tiny versions of himself, there's some like way high up on a ledge, and there's some down that's like looks like they're trying to hold his mouth open. And this one version does like a swan dive into his mouth.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't, I mean, if you look at it now, it doesn't look great, but I mean, you just gotta, if you suspend your disbelief, you're like, well, I can tell what they're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, totally.
This is the worst part I've thought of, is he gets the hot boiling water
Ooh.
and he drinks it.
Yeah.
And again, no damage to his face because he's spilling it all over himself, but he's like, he can feel the little version of himself in his stomach, so he gets the hot water and drinks it. And you hear the little thing in his stomach be like, me!
So it's burning the little thing in his stomach, but not himself.
Oh, he looks like he's burning because he's like, oh, she's like pouring it down his throat.
Yeah.
The thought of having to drink boiling water just fucking turns my asshole inside out.
Yeah. It beep.
Let me tell you what it really does. It beep. So he like starts scratching his shoulder, and he looks, and he has this eye vagina. The way that it looks, it's like a, you know.
It does. It looks like a vagina with an eye.
Yeah, and it's got like an eyelid there, so it looks kind of strange. It's like a sideways vagina.
There's no eyelashes or anything. So what else can we make it out to be?
And so he freaks out and runs outside, and as he is, he's like splitting into another version of himself. Which I wonder how they did this, because it's him and another guy, and it's like running backwards and stuff. It's very impressive.
It is neat. Some of it I could see that it was CGI, but it still looked decent.
Yeah. It does look good, and there's a scene where he pokes the other version of himself in the eye, and he's like, I'm blind. I'm blind. Because, again, it is Bruce Campbell doing this other version of himself, and he's just going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they do fully separate. The evil Ash, as I'll call him from here on out, he's like doing a little Irish jig, and he's like, you're just a little goody two-shoes, and like hitting him in the face every time. Like, little goody two-shoes, little goody two-shoes. And Ash points the gun in his face and blows him away.
And he says, good, bad, I'm the one with the gun.
Yeah. And so then now he ties evil Ash to the table and chops him up into pieces. And you get this scene where evil Ash wakes up and he like lets out this demonic roar as he's getting chopped up.
And you know, he takes the time to bury him. He gives him a proper burial. That's nice.
Which is really cool how they did this, because as he throws the body parts into the sand or into the grave he's dug for him, like the head pops out of the bag and starts talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you will never get the Necronomicon.
Ah.
So I wonder, they probably just buried him in dirt or something like that in there to just have his head sticking out.
Oh, yeah. Just like if you bury yourself in sand or something.
Yeah, and this is so funny, too, because he's given this whole speech of like, we will swallow your soul, you will never get the Necronomicon. He's like, you gotta let something on your face. He's like, and he throws dirt on him as he's burying it.
Like, shut the fuck up.
Now, Ash rides and he gets to the graveyard where the Necronomicons are. And wouldn't you know it, there are 3 books.
God damn it.
Yeah, and he's like, ooh, they didn't tell me 3.
Like, oh, do I have to say it 3 times?
Yeah, you would think, because he doesn't do it the first 2 times. He doesn't say it, so I don't know. And he opens up the first one, and it's like got a hole in it, and he like gets sucked into the hole.
Yeah, this is kind of cool looking.
The way they did it, the way you could obviously tell that they did it, is that there was like a gigantic hole, and they probably just had Bruce Campbell like lean into it and film it, because it looks like he's going in completely, but the hole is just this tiny little hole in a book when you look at it.
And then just do the sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
That's how I think they must have done it, because that's the way it looks. And then the book closes, and then it opens back up, and Ash like pulls himself out of this book. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't you know it, his face is just completely fucked up.
Yeah. It's like elongated.
Yeah, and it takes him a few tries. He's like, and it's like still messed up. Like, he finally gets it, and he's like, says something like, "Wrong book."
Obviously.
And so he goes for the second book, and it bites the shit out of his hand. And he's throwing this book, and it's like flying back at him, and he's like, it's like attacking him like a bird. He knows which one it is, and as before he starts to say it, he's like, oh, right, the words. So he says, clock, like very regal-like, his voice booms and echoes, and he's like, clock 2, Verada. He's like, what was the other word? He says, like, Neptune, no, nickel, no. And he's like, clock 2, Verada, nickel.
That was so funny.
Yeah, and so he's like, said the word. So he takes the book, and as soon as he takes it, these gravestones start jumping up, and
Like blowing up out of the ground.
yeah, and like the dead are rising. Like you see skeleton hands coming out, and so he starts to get out, and this is what a huge Three Stooges moment here, where he's on the ground, and these things are just like poking him in the eyes and pulling his teeth, and he does the Three Stooges, like the hand in front of his face,
Yes,
and the skeleton hands like poke him from the side.
I was cracking up.
Yeah,
it
like
was
does
so
it
funny.
does it to his cheek. He's like, ah.
Yeah.
But I love it at the end too, because like all the hands go away, and Bruce Campbell's like, and like 7 fists punch him in the face.
Oh.
It's great. I mean, it's such great humor, and he gets on his horse and rides away. And as he does, we see lightning strike the gravestone of Evil Ash, and Evil Ash rises from the dead. And his skin is gone completely on his face now. I don't know if you caught it here, but Ash rides back to the castle, and as he gets back, they're like, "Oh, did you say the words and stuff like that?" And he's like, "No, not every single syllable." And then like these people start booing him and stuff. And Ash tells one of these guys, he's walking, and this guy's like right next to him. He's like, "Get the fuck out of my face!"
Yeah.
I was like, he just said fuck. What the shit?
Yeah, I think you even said that. I'm like, I don't think they've ever said fuck.
Yeah, which we're gonna go see the new Guardians movie at some point too. But apparently, that's the first Marvel movie where fuck is they say fuck in it.
I mean, it's a common word.
Yeah,
I say it a lot.
Oh, so much. But it just the way he said it made me laugh so hard. He's like, "Get the fuck out of my face." Yeah, the wise man is like, "You've doomed us all. Like, we are seriously fucked now that you've done this, because now the evil will rise from the dead, and they're gonna kill us all.
Yep.
And they will take the book back." And Arthur's like, "Hey, we'll send you back just like you wanted, but I wanted to let you know how hard you fucked us, man.
Yeah,
So
for
like,
real.
we're gonna send you back." And Ash is like, "That's all I want.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you guys. I'm going home.
Screw you guys."
That's right. I didn't even mean to do that.
Sheila is kind of heartbroken, where she's like, "Well, you're the one they prophesized." And he's like, "Whatever." He's like, "I'm not the one."
He's like, that's what we call pillow talk, baby.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. She's like, "But what about the sweet things you said to me?" And he's like, "That's pillow talk, baby." And a flying deadite now flies into the castle and takes Sheila away. And I think this is what kicks Ash's ass to get into the fight now that Sheila's been taken.
It's like, my girl.
Yes, because Sheila is taken to where all the evil are rising, where Evil Ash is now, and he's got like a general's kind of armor on now. And all these dead are rising and stuff like that. The skeletons are like picking people up out of their coffins and stuff.
And the skeletons also have naked girls chained up.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I got that to my notes. I was like, whoa, that's, again, I've never seen nudity in a movie like one of these Evil Deads before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There's just these women chained up naked, and I don't know if you could really see it, but like you could tell they're not wearing any clothes or whatnot. But
yeah, you get some side boob.
yeah, maybe that's just as much as you get. But like the skeletons are like whipping them. I'm like, holy shit.
It was pretty like, whoa.
Because you're like, this movie, you're like, whoa, that didn't seem like this movie.
This is not comical. This is just kind of like a wow.
Like, look at these tits, everybody.
Yeah, like they had to have nudity.
Yeah. Well, Sheila is brought to Evil Ash, and he repeats the line. He says, "Give me some sugar, baby," and kisses her at this point. And you're like,
she's all like, oh God, you don't have any skin on your face.
Yeah.
You're teething me to death.
And this is Bruce Campbell. He is playing Evil Ash as well in all this makeup.
Yeah, you said that. I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's just the evil version of himself now as a complete deadite.
Mm-hmm.
So back at the castle, Ash is telling all these people what they'll do. And Ash is like, "We'll send a request for help from Henry the Red." And Sam Raimi's brother, Ted, is in the audience here as one guy. And he's like, "They won't come, we're gonna get killed," or something like that. And everybody's like, "We'll stand with you, Ash." And we cut back now and we see that Sheila, like the army is getting ready. They're on their way to the castle. And we see that Sheila has been turned into a deadite now.
Yes.
She's like his queen or something. And you hear a skeleton be like, "Well, there's a sight for sore bones."
She says, I may be bad, but I feel good.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah, right?
Some kid in the audience was like, what does that mean?
How can you be bad and feel good?
Yeah. So Ash is helping the people get prepped for this big battle that's coming. They pull the car from the beginning into the castle, and it's a funny shot. Ash opens up his trunk, and there's like a bottle of Coke in there.
Yes.
You just see various things that are in the trunk.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, which I read on the trivia. That was just stuff that Sam Raimi had in his trunk at the time they filmed it.
Oh, wow.
And Ash brings out a book, it says Chemistry 101, and they start making like black powder. They make like little bombs and stuff out of it.
Burn the book. School sucks.
Is that what it says?
No.
Oh.
That was my feeling when I saw that book.
Oh, yeah, school. Ooh, Chemistry 101.
Like, I hate school.
And this is where you're like, is Ash supposed to be still in high school?
No, true. Because he works at S-Mart. So maybe he's going to college?
Oh, college, possibly. Chemistry. Well, Chemistry 101. Yeah, that sounds like a college course.
College, yeah.
I go to the community college. And
Which is not bad.
no, I went there.
I'm going there.
I don't know how that became such a joke. Like, even when I went to OTC here in Missouri,
Yeah.
I was all like, well, it's not a real college. My dad's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah. They are accredited and all of that stuff.
I was like, I want to go to the University of American Samoa.
Yeah.
It's a correspondence school. So, yeah, Ash is showing them how to make like black powder bombs, and the wise man, he sees this powder and he like holds a flame next to it to kind of see it better. And Ash is like, no.
No, don't do that.
And he's also teaching these people how to fight, like with spears and swords and stuff, which you would think a man from like the 80s wouldn't really know how to like teach these people, but I guess he is supposed to be the chosen one.
Yeah, you would think the people from 1800s would be teaching him.
Would know better, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he just has this spear and he's all like, ha, hoo, ha, ha, and they do the same things.
Like just doing different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it comes back and it saves them later.
It does. They do good.
They outfit the car, but we don't exactly know what they've done to it just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So now the siege is starting. Like the army of the dead has reached the castle. And Ash, when all these archers and everybody's standing there waiting for him, it is funny as you see these evil, like the dead army arrive. There's all these skeletons playing like skeleton bagpipes,
Yeah.
skeleton flutes, like made out of bones and stuff.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's
Like,
very funny.
It is just it's a whole neat scene that they didn't necessarily have to add that, but I'm really glad that they did.
Yeah,
Because it just gave more of, you have all these skeletons coming alive, coming out of the grave, and then they're making an army, and
doing different things. Yeah,
this is what would happen if something like that did happen, you know, kind of.
yeah, it makes it more realistic for sure.
Yeah.
And this skeleton, and they call him the general of the army of the dead, which I found out was played by Bill Moseley, who is in a bunch of Rob Zombie movies. He plays the guy he's like got the long blonde hair, who's the killer. Otis is his name, I think, in the movie.
Okay. Oh, okay.
His name's Bill Moseley. He's been in a million things, but he plays this general. And I was like, Bill Moseley? I told Justin that because Justin's a huge Rob Zombie fan of his movies, at least. And I was like, Bill Moseley was in Army of Darkness. And he was like, no way. And
Yes way.
I just told you that. But it is super funny because Bill Moseley, you can tell he's under like a shit ton of makeup, and they just have this skeleton tied to this horse. And they were like, we're ready to start the siege of the castle. And Evil Ash is like, yeah, go for it. And as they turn and ride off, you see this skeleton just flopping tied to this horse.
That's right.
Because it is just a Halloween decoration tied to this horse. And they're like, they let this horse go, and this thing is holding on for dear life.
It didn't look great, but boy, it was funny.
It's so funny. And maybe they did that to just show kind of like how cheap it was or what. But yeah, you can definitely tell it's like a plastic skeleton tied to this horse.
No, this is what would happen if you were just bones and didn't have any muscles trying to ride a horse. You would just flop around because you don't have any way of holding on to it.
So as the army of the dead ride towards the castle, Ash tells all the archers to light the bombs on their arrows. And he waits until like the last second before they start shooting. Mm-hmm. And I gotta hand it to him. These look like real ass explosions.
Yeah, they do.
They're blowing up like props and stuff like that, and you just like now you'd think that that would all be CGI, but they really were blowing shit up.
And the skeletons are even being kind of witty, and they're like, "Put your backbones into it," as they're trying to ram the door.
My favorite line from the skeletons is after the battle is over and they've lost, you hear one of them go like, "Let's get the hell out of here." That always made me laugh when watching it. And they're also the human army is launching catapults and just destroying things in the army and the evil army. And we get some more funny things here. Evil Ash keeps trying to yell at these people and his jaw keeps falling off. He's like, "Oh, come on. Get out!" And he's like, "Get going." He like says it real quiet.
It's like, I can't be too gruff.
And this is where the skeleton says backbone, because they get to the main gate and they're like trying to break it down with like a battering ram. Yeah, he says put your backbone into it. And they get into the castle and everybody's fighting, and this is where Ash breaks the card out and it is turned into like a fucking battering ram killing machine.
It's amazing. It has like a helicopter prop thingy.
Yeah, it's like almost like helicopter blades, but it like spins, so when he goes in front of it, you can really tell these skeletons are props because you see like him driving over these skeletons, and
Oh yeah,
it's like steam powered as well because it like does like a little train thing. It's like work work.
yeah, which is another thing. Like what would be in that time?
How could you make it like that? Yeah,
It couldn't run off of battery because it's probably dead. So you have to.
make it out of something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
As Ash is like destroying these people, and he's like he's shooting skeletons off this thing too, which is funny. But as he's driving over, he sees Sheila standing in the middle, and it's her. It's not evil her. It's actually the her, and he fucking stupidly turns this car and just crashes it and destroys it.
Yeah.
But like, just stop. That's one of like your main weapons you've got right there to kill these damn things. So they fight here, like Ash and her fight. I think I noted it that he knocks her into the pit. I don't know if it's is it the same one from the beginning?
Yeah, she tries to stab him, and he kicks her into the pit.
Gotcha, yeah. And then we hear like a horn or something, and wouldn't you know it, Henry's men have shown up to help.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, they're getting their asses kicked. But then here comes Henry, saving the day.
Because at some point in here, we do get the men, like the army of the dead, have breached the castle, and we do see the guys doing the exact same moves that Ash taught them. Like, that's all we know. We're fucked. We do see at some point here, Arthur has been shot by arrows. Ash sees him get shot like twice. So Ash like runs up to the top of the castle area here and was like helping him out. This is where Sheila comes back and she's like on his back, and he's like, "You ugly bitch, get off me." And we do get another famous line here where she's like, "You found me beautiful once." And he's like, "Honey, you got real ugly."
You have changed.
There is a line I did forget, but I wrote it down because right before the battle begins, Ash is like, "Maybe we'll pull this off." And then he goes, "Yeah, and I'm a Chinese jet pilot."
Oh.
And I'm like, what? And I think you just like, I guess it was a saying or something, but you're just comparing yourself to something that you could never be.
Oh, okay.
But like, oh, and I'm an Irish knight or something like that. Just be like, I'm a Chinese jet pilot. Because at first my reaction was like, ooh, I don't know if that holds up today. But it's just like comparing yourself. Like, I'll never be a Chinese person. I'll never be a jet pilot.
I'll never be a beep.
Yeah, because it's funny because Ash is like, he says, maybe we'll be okay, but yeah, and maybe I'm a...
That's so funny.
We got to get better at talking about action scenes, because I'm just like, well, I don't really know how you can talk about big action as it's going on here. He does impale Sheila at this point and throws her off the high part of the castle here. She seems like she's dead. You think she's dead at this point. Mm-hmm. And this is the big fight with Evil Ash. Like, Evil Ash is killing people. He's almost to the book. This book is like behind a gate at the top of the castle. And good Ash starts fighting Evil Ash. At some point, he sets Evil Ash on fire. You think he's dead, but he comes back as just this big skeleton. Mm-hmm. And this is where it doesn't look the greatest. It's like stop motion, kind of.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it works.
He says, I've got a bone to pick with you.
There is a funny part where he punches Evil Ash and his head spins around.
Yes.
And his eyes look like casino, like slot machines.
Yes.
He's like, "Arr!" He stops like, ding, ding.
So funny.
It is so funny. Ash is getting like his ass kicked. He gets knocked off the top of the castle here, and right next to a catapult. And Evil Ash, for some reason, jumps down right at the top of this catapult, like the part that launches.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, that doesn't make sense why you would do that, but you do get this awesome scene where, I don't know if he has a final line here before he does it, but Ash launches him, and Evil Ash blows up in the air.
He says, "Buckle up, bonehead."
I knew there was a line.
So funny.
So all the evil army starts to run away, that you get the one saying, "Get the hell out of here!"
Yeah.
Ash does go to see Sheila's body, and she is good again, and she wakes up. You thought she was dead, but she's actually good, and she's no longer
Whoa.
possessed.
That's cool.
Henry the Red and Arthur are going to start fighting because they square up in the middle of the castle,
Yeah.
and then they just hug and start laughing.
I was so happy because I was like, "Oh no, not another fight!
Yeah.
No, we're friends." And then they hugged, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so nice."
Yeah, they're like, "We're friends now. We'll be legendary friends from here on out." So this movie kind of wraps up pretty quickly. We see the wise man from the book has made a drink, and he gives it to Ash and says, "You will sleep until, it's time for you to wake up in your own time."
Yeah.
He kisses Sheila goodbye and he rides off, and it just fades. And you hear that Ash has been narrating some of this throughout the movie. He's telling this to Ted Raimi at S-Mart.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, "I could have stayed and been king, but I decided to come back to my own time." And because the wise man at first is like, "You take this potion and say the 3 words, and you will sleep until it's time to wake up." And Ted Raimi's like, "Did you say the 3 words right this time?" And he's like, well, maybe not every single syllable."
He also says to only do 5 drops.
Well, I think that might be the alternate ending, which is we'll
that's
talk
right.
about. We'll talk
Okay.
about here in a second
I'm getting
too.
them confused.
So Ash is price checking boxes in the S-Mart, and this woman, you see her her legs first, and Ash is like, "Hello," but she's like, "Oh, that story about you becoming king and stuff, I think that was kind of cute." And wouldn't you know it, the wind starts blowing and everything, and you see one of the customers is a crazy evil old deadite now.
Oh no.
And this is what I thought happened earlier, but this deadite rushes them, and the camera is going towards Bruce Campbell and this lady, and Ash just pushes her out of the way.
Yes.
He's like, I thought that was so funny.
Shoves the shit out of her.
Yeah, it made me laugh so hard. He gets out of the way for a minute, and the deadite's getting ready to attack people, and he shoots it. And he's gotten a gun, and you see him standing on a table, and he's like, "Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store."
Yeah.
She's like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "The name's Ash. Housewares." So he throws the gun up in the air. He jumps on a little rolling cart and catches the gun and shoots this deadite a million times. He's fighting it. He lands on the ground. He's punching her. He does knock her away, and she bounces on a trampoline that's set up.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of somersaults and turns and twists, and oh, it's so funny.
As she's flying through the air from the trampoline, he shoots her another 30 times, and she falls to the ground dead.
Finally.
Yeah, and so we see Ash, and he pulls off his S-Mart uniform, and he's got his action uniform on that he was wearing at the when he fought and stuff. Just has it underneath his clothes. And he has this big holster for the rifle on his leg already. He just walks around with that on.
Wow.
He's like, "Yeah, I could have been king then, but in my own weird way, I'm already king." And then he grabs the woman and he says, "Hail to the king, baby," and kisses her.
Mooches.
So you were bringing it up because right after we watched it, I did show you the alternate ending. Is yes, the wise man says, "Take only 5 drops, no more, and you will wake up exactly when you need to be." And we see Ash get buried in this cave, and he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he hears something in the distance, so he looks up and he's like, 4 and 5. So he's taking 6 drops total. And we see the time pass, and he's got this long, long beard, and he wakes up and gets out of the tunnel, and he realizes he has slept too long because it looks like he's in London, and it's just like destroyed.
I don't know. It looked like end of world kind of thing.
It's like the apocalypse has happened, and he goes, "I've slept too long."
Like, oh, dang.
Because I did read in trivia that originally they wanted Evil Dead 4 to be like Ash fighting the Evil Dead with robots in the future.
Okay.
But it never really got off the ground until they did the remake.
But it would also make sense. Sorry, this just popped in my head. But because if he didn't say the words right, then the Deadites are still in the world. So if he's sleeping this whole time,
it's destroyed, yeah.
The Deadites are there and he can't protect. So yeah, that's how the world was destroyed, by Deadites.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, they made the remake in the early 2010s. It did well, so they made a show. You know, Bruce Campbell came back as Ash. And I'm watching The Venture Brothers now, but I think, unless you want to watch it with me, I want to watch the Evil Dead versus Ash show. It's only like 3 seasons, I think. It's like 30 episodes, 30 minutes long.
We'll see.
But I've heard it's really good. Sam Raimi came back and was producing. I think he directed a few episodes here and there, but I've heard it's really good.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And now here we are. They, you know, the remake did well. I don't think they really could get a sequel to it off the ground, so they decided to just go somewhere new. And now they've made it to where it's in the city. It's like in, I think, New York, but it takes place in like an apartment complex.
That'll be interesting.
Yes. Yeah, We Hate Movies. One of the guys said he didn't think it worked, you know, not being, but
we'll see. We'll make our own opinion.
Yeah, we're not gonna be like, well, he says it, so it must suck. But kind of going into the Evil Dead movies, we're gonna make it like a trilogy here because we've skipped the first one. But we will be seeing Evil Dead Rise, and we will be talking about it as the next episode.
Oh yeah, because that's a whole reason why we're doing all these.
And you know, to have you watch the Evil Dead movies is amazing because they're some of my favorite movies.
Oh, good.
And it is funny because it's like a lot of people, you know, the people are like, well, the third one's really funny, but it kind of is not like the others, but it is still liked. And that's when Ash became kind of an asshole. But,
yeah,
you know, everyone's always like, Evil Dead 2 is the greatest, or Evil Dead 1's so cool. But I'm glad to see you watching these and enjoying them.
Yeah, this one, it was the best.
Yeah, you like
so
that
funny.
humor in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, cool. Next time we do this, the episode will be on Evil Dead Rise.
Yes, and you can follow us on your favorite social media platform. If you want to reach out and let us know something, we don't care what, you can let us know how your day's going. thefilmobsessedcouple@gmail.com. And we appreciate you listening and hope you keep listening.
Yep. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.